After a month in charge, new Bournemouth manager Kevin Bond celebrated his first win. And there was no hanging around from his side. Veteran striker Steve Fletcher scoring after just 5 minutes, that his first goal since August. Bournemouth got a second just after the half-hour mark as the 34-year-old netted again with his head. Fletcher would have been celebrating his hat-trick but for some inspired keeping by Andrew Marriott. The much-travelled keeper was helpless to stop James Hayter scoring, though, his first goal in 7 games coming after an hour. And the best was saved for last as Danny Holland spotted Marriott off his line and took advantage with a quite breathtaking lob from fully 40 yards.
Sandell with a throw. Elliott has found space. It's his ball in. And it's Walker's shot. And it's Walker's goal. And Bristol Rovers are in front. And here's Green again. And he took that down nicely. Not a bad ball in either. Spears drops it and Disley hammers home the rebound. Those struggling to clear their lines. And it's a third goal for Bristol Rovers. And it's Byron Anthony up from the back to Berry Barrow Shawley. In comes the corner. Phillips struggling to get there, and Barrow have their goal. Phillips is on the floor, and Pope was in there for Barrow. It's a higher one, no less awkward, and that's cleared off the line. It's in now, though. He's knocked in at close range, and Barrow have their second goal. It's the substitute, Nick Rogan, that got it.
Managerless Kings Lynn of the Southern Premier League missed a penalty at Woodside Park before taking the lead through Adam Smith's curling free kick. Then there was a blast from the FA Cup past as former Wycombe hero Roy Essendon equalised for Bishop Stortford from a Dave Collis free kick. The Blues, currently third in the Conference South, move further ahead through Danny Morgan, with half-time fast approaching. But Smith's shooting boots were in fine form, unlike the goalie's gloves, as he scored from another free kick to equalise in first-half stoppage time. The goalkeeper will be disappointed, part 1. Michael Frew popped up with a brace of goals. Goalkeeper disappointed, part 2. To put Kings Lynn from the third tier of non-league football firmly in control of this tie. Matt O'Halloran, once of Derby County, headed Kings Lynn further in front. And despite a late deflected goal from Alex Martin, it's the Southern League side Kings Lynn who progress into the draw for round 2.
It's been 6 games without a win for Bradford, but there's nothing like a goals glut in the cup to restore confidence. Mark Bridge-Wilkinson got the first on 4 minutes after a spot of head tennis from Ben Ricks. After the break, Bradford deservedly added to their lead through Stephen Schumacher. And getting on the end of Eddie Johnson's ball was top scorer Dean Windass. Rounding off a truly woeful day for Crewe, substitute Darren Kempson turned Ben Muirhead's cross into his own net. Brentford have reached the 5th round the last 2 seasons, but without a win in 14, they were ripe for a cup sting. Lewis Guy skipped through the Bees' defence to score the only goal of the game. Or was it? Watch carefully, you decide. Mark McCannon was adamant he'd scored another for Doncaster.
Northwich Victoria are no strangers to FA Cup giant killing, but any hopes of adding to that reputation were quickly dashed at Brighton. Dean Cox gave the League One side the ideal start. Brighton, unbeaten in 7 games, doubled their lead when Jake Robinson produced a forceful run and accurate shot past goalkeeper Phil Senior. Despite a period of Northwich pressure, Robinson extended the Seagulls' lead at the start of the second half, cutting in from the right to score his second of the afternoon. Alex Ravel, who'd wasted 2 good opportunities in the first half, made it 4 with a fine long-range effort. The 5th goal came 12 minutes from time, as Robinson completed his hat-trick with a superb strike into the roof of the net. No doubting the destination of the match ball, the Robinson mantelpiece has a new addition. The rout was completed with 3 goals in the closing minutes. Joe Gatton made it 6-0 with his first for the club. A poacher's effort. Then Sam Rent scored number 7. Also the first goal he scored in his Brighton career. Cox added his second and Brighton's 8th in stoppage time, as the home side wrapped up their biggest ever win at the Withdean Stadium.
Staffordshire bragging rights were at stake in this tie, as well as a place in the next round. The goals all came in the second half, and Nigel Clough's Burton seized the initiative through Darrell Clare. Kevin Poole will have nightmares about Tamworth's equaliser. John McGrath's corner seemed to deceive him, and it was 1-1. All to play for as the clock ticked towards a replay 15 miles down the road. But John Stevenson wrote his name in Tamworth folklore with a stunning winner in stoppage time. Nothing Kevin Poole could do about that. Tamworth are through.
Seven yellow cards in the first half, but you had to wait 51 minutes for the first goal. Chelmsford Ibe was brought down by Rhys Day. Jeff Minton blasted his penalty past Nicky Ball. The Ryman Premier League side deserved their lead. That made the next goal even more cruel. Ben Chenery tried to steer the ball wide. His keeper was left stranded. Aldershot were back in it. They'll have to do it all again at the recreation ground Tuesday week.
This all-League One clash was dominated by the goalkeepers. Cheltenham keeper Shane Higgs denied Ian Barraclough a goal from 20 yards. And the home keeper was in even better form later on to keep out Andy Keogh's effort from a close-range header. Chance of the match fell late on to Cheltenham's Gavin Keynes. But his miss means a replay at Glanford Park.
Basingstoke, bottom of the Conference South, produced the biggest upset of the first round, beating Carling Cup heroes Chesterfield in their own backyard. Matthew Warner hit the winner 25 minutes in. The League One side have celebrated Cup giant killings this season against Manchester City and West Ham, but this day belonged to Basingstoke.
Chester breezed into the second round as Clevedon's hopes of an upset were undone just 7 minutes in, Lawrence Wilson putting the League Two club ahead. The home side held their opponents until just after the break. Jamie Hand's unstoppable shot delighted the travelling fans packed into the Hand Stadium. But if Clevedon needed a hand to get back into things, they didn't get one. John Walters made it 3-0, and Chester manager Mark Wright was able to sit back and enjoy a job well done when Greg Blundell here added a 4th. Credit to the home side though, they kept coming forward and they got their reward with a 90th minute consolation goal from Jack Pitcher. Clevedon though left to focus on Tuesday's league game against Yate Town, while Chester can look forward to round 2.
Stockport County of League Two took the lead at St James Park. Tess Bramble cashing in as Exeter's Chris Todd stood on the ball. Bramble going on to beat Paul Jones in the Grecians' goal. But Exeter are going well in the conference, and it was all square with the last kick of the first half, thanks to Andy Taylor and Adam Stansfield, who set up Lee Phillips for a toe-poke finish past Stockport keeper James Spencer. Exeter continued to push forward, but Jim Gannon's side secured a hard-won victory as substitute Adam Proudlock, the former Wolves and Sheffield Wednesday striker, latched on to Bramble's through ball to settle the tie.
Barnet's trip to Gainsborough proved a tricky but ultimately successful one. Dean Sinclair gave the League Two strugglers a deserved lead, bundling the ball home in the 11th minute. But Gainsborough grew in confidence, and after a couple of near misses, Nicky Ellis headed in a Ben Perkis corner with quarter of an hour to play. A couple of minutes later, Barnet's Congolese striker Trésor Kandol came to the rescue, though. A fine solo effort restoring their lead. And Kandol had a second after he was brought down by Ellis in the final minute. The defender was dismissed before the striker converted to make Barnet's win look like a comfortable one.
On paper, this was the biggest mismatch of the round. 85 places separate Gillingham and Ryman Premier side Bromley. No surprise half an hour in when the League One side took the lead. Helped by a deflection, Mark Bentley headed home. And he made it 2 after the break, latching onto a loose ball in the box. Bromley did pull one back, Nick McDonnell with a neat finish. But that was a rare sniff of goal. Goylane Ndumbo Nsungo smashed home from close range to restore Gillingham's 2-goal lead, and then curled in a 4th in the last minute.
Blackpool, the 1953 Cup winners, progressed to the next stage of this year's competition, but only after surviving a close call when quick thinking from Huddersfield midfielder Nat Clark almost caught out Rhys Evans, the crossbar saving the Blackpool keeper's blushes. Now, having missed that opportunity to hit the headlines, Clark's next involvement was to concede a penalty for handball, seconds after another penalty appeal for a foul on Adrian Forbes had been waved away. Wes Hoolahan capped a man-of-the-match display for the Seasiders with a cheeky penalty kick that was all too much for Huddersfield keeper Matt Glennon. Huddersfield have now gone out of all 3 cup competitions at the first round stage this season.
Oldham almost came unstuck against Kettering, 67 places and 3 divisions below them. All seemed set fair when Sean Gregan on loan from Leeds rifled in after the home defence failed to clear a corner. But Kettering signalled their intent with a carbon copy riposte just after the interval. Craig McElwain was the man who made it 1-1. Oldham went back in front with some fairly Route 1 play. Paul Warren's persistence, managing to bulldoze his way through the Kettering defence and eventually bundle the ball over the line to put Latix back in charge just before the hour. Neil Trotman's first senior goal seemed to have put the League One club out of sight here at 3-1. Good header at the far post. But Kettering of the Conference North mounted a magnificent revival. Former Norwich striker Zima Abbey was fleet of foot here as he skipped away to make it 3-2, and he celebrated in style as the home fans sensed a possible comeback on the cards. Rockingham Road was really rocking when Brett Solkin's looping header brought the scores level 6 minutes from time. A replay, surely the home fans hoped, maybe even a winner. Well, there was one, but Oldham got it to spare their blushes. Substitute Chris Hall rising to the occasion to get the crucial goal deep into stoppage time.
Darlington maintained their 100% record under new manager Dave Penny, but they were made to work hard for their place in round 2 by the South Coast non-leaguers. Martin Smith opened the scoring against the run of play just before half-time. That lead was extended on the hour when Patrick Collins was the first to react after Neil Wainwright's shot came back off the bar. Substitute Lee Farrell, who plays for the Great British Deaf team, pulled one back for the non-leaguers. But Kalusiv Vikako Goma turned the ball in 3 minutes later. And Martin Smith scored a spectacular volleyed second in stoppage time to see Darlington safely home. Dreams of a new home at the Olympic Stadium were put on hold as Leyton Orient tried to forget their dismal form in League One against League Two side Notts County. The O's were ahead early on as the persistence of Justin Miller allowed Gary Alexander to pick out Wayne Corden for the opening goal. Martin Ling's team went further ahead when Matthew Lockwood's corner was dispatched goalwards by Miller. The Orient nerves were jangling though when Laurie Dudfield pulled a late goal back for the Magpies, but it's Leyton Orient who head for round two.
A point and a place separate Mansfield and Accrington Stanley in League Two. Predictably then, this was a tight cup tie, a harsh handball decision settling it. Mansfield skipper made the decision count, Richie Barker blasting in a 43rd minute penalty to put his team into round two.
League form pointed to a home win in this meeting of two conference clubs, and so it proved. Kidderminster goalkeeper Scott Bevan was judged to have pulled down Gary Thompson there. The referee probably had a clearer view than the cameraman. Fierce protests followed, but Wayne Curtis kept his cool to convert and give Sammy McElroy's side the lead on the stroke of half-time. Michael Twiss added a second for Morecambe before Kidderminster eventually found the route to goal in the 89th minute. Gavin Hurrell reducing the arrears, but there was no revival. Morecambe go through.
A visit from local league rival Swansea was bound to make it tense at Newport. Sadly, that tension rather spoiled the afternoon. The visitors were ahead after just 7 minutes, Lee Trundle beating the offside trap with ease. And Swansea were two up on half an hour, Izzy Erekpin profiting from some amateurish defending. Then came the trouble. Referee Tony Bates was signalled to by his fourth official Alan Sheffield after he'd allegedly been abused by the Newport manager Peter Beadle. Bates sent Beadle off, but that didn't stop the Newport boss making his feelings about the decision very clear indeed. Some misguided fan then decided to take the law into his own hands as Mr. Sheffield was felled by a coin. The fourth official's injury was so serious that he'll spend the rest of the night in hospital. After an 8-minute delay, play resumed and Swansea picked up where they'd left off. Leon Britton getting their third with another unchallenged header just before half-time. Newport reduced their arrears soon after the restart, but Ian Hillier's goal turned out to be nothing more than a consolation on what had been a rather embarrassing day for Newport.
Peter, can we start with the incident where you were dismissed? You didn't seem to want to go and got involved in a manhandling incident with the referee?
No, not at all. No, we both walked in together along the line and we both brushed shoulders. So there was no manhandling, nothing like that.
Soon after that was the incident where the fourth official was felled by what seemed to be a missile. I don't think there's any way that can be condoned, of course.
Of course not. I didn't see it. I don't know. So what's happened. That's the end of it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't know the details. So that's the end of it for me now.
Alan Buckley's first game back for a third spell in charge of Grimsby Town was good enough to earn a replay with League One side Northampton. Tom Newey forced Mark Bunn into a fine save, And then Nick Fenton headed over from the corner that resulted. Scott McLeish had the best efforts for Northampton, and it wasn't until the 70th minute when Grimsby keeper Phil Barnes made his first save in anger to deny Chris Doig.
Nottingham Forest carried their league form into the cup against Conference Southside Yeading. Chris Commons won the tie with a first half hat-trick, his opener a dipping 35-yarder. His second came after 31 minutes, Commons finishing a fluent Forest move in some style. His hat-trick goal was more of an opportunist effort, following up after Junior Agogo's shot had been blocked. There were two more goals for the 7,500 fans to enjoy, Agogo getting them both. The first was a penalty after Nathan Tyson had been brought down. And 10 minutes later, Nicky Southall supplied the cross from which Agogo wrapped things up.
Peterborough's direct approach on the counter-attack paid off as they won convincingly against their League One opponents. Aaron McLean, who's on loan from Grays Athletic, was involved in two of the Posh goals. First of all, setting up Adam Newton to pull the ball back for Richard Butcher to fire in the opener. It was another breakaway goal from this Rotherham corner that increased Peterborough United's lead. McLean himself dispatching the second, getting the return pass from Danny Crowe. And a Posh victory was secured when Crowe nipped in behind the Rotherham defence to pounce on Jude Sterling's throw-in. Neil Cutler helpless in the Miller's goal.
Despite squandering numerous chances, Port Vale got past League Two promotion hopefuls Lincoln. Vale went in front after 29 minutes. Danny Whittaker's turn and shot, simply too good for Alan Marriott. And they had a second before half-time, thanks to Akpo Soje's skill and persistence. Vale remained dominant but did concede a late consolation. Lee Frecklington heading in unchallenged after a Lee Beavers cross.
Hartlepool drew first blood in this All-League Two affair at Spotland. Against the run of play, Pools profited from a fluffed clearance and James Brown held off the challenge to open the scoring. I feel good. Rochdale rallied to earn a replay in the second half. Chris Dagnall played in John Doolan, who produced an emphatic finish.
League One high flyers Yeovil were the masters of giant killing in their non-league days, but they were left red-faced at Rushden. Chris Hope put the conference side in front. The captain's header. Keeping his eye on the ball for their second was Michael Rankin. Rushden's overexcitement was briefly interrupted as Yeovil came back into it. Chris Cohen with the feint, and then the execution. Purposeful running signals hope, but it wasn't to be, because ghosting in at the far post to volley in his second was that man Rankin. And he had his celebration all worked out.
Salisbury manager Nick Holmes was a cup winner with Southampton in 1976. 30 years on and on his 52nd birthday, he saw his side brush past Unibond League Fleetwood. Matt Tubbs had a hand in all three goals. First, he put the Conference South High Flyers ahead with that cracker. And it was his free kick which led to the second, a perfect birthday present for the boss, as Holmes Jr., son Matt, poked home on the hour. And the celebrations were complete as Tubbs got away on the left to give Scott Bartlett an easy chance to make it 3-0. Celebrations all round in the Cathedral City. Salisbury into round two.
In the midday clash of the neighbours, there were plenty of chances but no goals. Gavin Cowan went close for the Shrews in this goal-mouth scramble. On this occasion, Derek Asamoah was inches away. But Hereford were well worth the replay.
This was a tale of triumph over adversity for Maidenhead. They fell behind when Rangers skipper Wayne Daniel headed home Danny Edwards' corner. Maidenhead then lost striker Craig O'Connor, shown a straight red for kicking out at Robin Gibson off the ball. 10-man Maidenhead's equaliser came when Dwayne Lee nipped in to head home, but there was another twist to come. Dominic Sterling became the second Maidenhead player to see red after hauling down Neil Grayson with 15 minutes to go. Goalkeeper Ramos, though, performed heroics, saving Grayson's spot kick to set up a replay at York Road and spark the celebrations amongst the travelling fans and manager Johnson Hippolyte, the man who brought FA Cup success to Yeading in 2005.
Carlisle's Chris Lumsden opened the scoring with a spectacular diving header. Sadly for the visitors, it was into his own net and gave Swindon Town an early lead. Carlisle were level by half-time. Lumsden's corner and a towering header from skipper Kevin Gray hauled them back into the game. Swindon was soon back in front. Gray's trip allowed striker Christian Roberts through on goal, and he made no mistake. Roberts grabbed his second when he latched onto a through ball. A place in round 2, the reward for Swindon, and their new manager, Paul Sturrock.
The lowest-ranked club in the competition scored the quickest goal of the day. Leatherhead of Ryman Division 1 South were in front at Torquay after just 72 seconds. Ian Hendry stooping to head home Jamie Beer's well-delivered free kick. That lead held for fully 55 minutes before Jamie Ward scrambled a Torquay equaliser. And Leatherhead's cup dream was over 18 minutes from time. Lee Andrews' ball was nodded across goal before substitute Chris McPhee, who'd only been on the pitch for 3 minutes himself, placed his header into the corner for Torquay's win.
Tranmere Rovers had a scare against non-league Woking. It all started well for Rovers. Gareth Taylor headed them into an early lead from a Steve Davis corner. Davis was again involved in the second as he set up a goal for Chris Greenacre at close range. Two minutes after the restart, Tranmere were further ahead when Greenacre himself turned provider for Taylor to head his second of the game. A defensive mix-up involving goalkeeper Gavin Ward and skipper Shane Sheriff brought a goal back for Woking, and it all.
Darren Ferguson with a corner towards Steve Evans. His header not quite good enough. Back out it comes to Evans. Cross comes in, chance for Williams. It's there, and Danny Williams has given Wrexham the lead here against Stevenage. Lovely cross from Steve Evans, but it was Danny Williams with a looping header. Wrexham 1, Stevenage 0.
Oxford United are top of the conference and unbeaten this season. It took Wickham till midway through the second half to put their local rivals in their place. Will Antwi the scorer. But feisty Oxford fought back. Gavin Johnson's free kick equalised 5 minutes from time. Heads turned to a replay. Hearts turned to despair within seconds. Kevin Betsy crossed. And Stefan Oakes struck, sending the League Two side into the second round.
Bristol City of League One knew that this was an upset in the making, but a single goal was enough for them to get the better of their conference hosts. Jamie McComb taking advantage as the York defenders chose the wrong time to take a break at Kit Kat Crescent.